Okay, 15F is going over the cosine rule. It's also known as the law of cosines, and if you had geometry at Ozark, we did do the law of cosines in geometry, but it was pretty much like a single day. It was very brushed over, and so this is kind of hopefully to recap and give you a little bit more information on it. So the law of cosines is in your formula booklet, and they give you two different versions, which I love that they give you both versions. So I'm going to write both of these down. So I'm under topic 5, geometry, cosine rule right here, and there's two different versions of the same thing. So let's write both of them down. They're both useful for different types of problems. So this is the first one they give you. Okay, there's that one, and then there's that is the same formula as the first line, but they've solved it for the cosine of A. So this one has the A squared over here equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. This one is just solved for the cosine of A. So you don't have to memorize these formulas. What's important is that when you label your triangle, the capital letter and the lowercase letter are across from each other. So side A is here, angle A is there in this formula. You could make that a B and a B, a C and a C, right? But they have to be opposite angle and side. The other two sides go here, B and C. The other two sides go for B and C, and then this is a side and its opposite angle. Same thing for this formula, it's just been rearranged a little bit. So once again, anytime you're working with these formulas, your triangle must be labeled so that the opposite side is the same letter as the angle, but lowercase. Angle's B, opposite side is lowercase b. Angle C, opposite side is lowercase c. Always that way. I don't know, like that, okay? And let's see how we can use this to help us solve problems. We're going to use this for triangles that are side, 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 so 3 sides are given, or side, angle, side. Also, this works in any triangle. It's not like our stuff from the beginning of this, when we did 15 A, B, C, D, E. That stuff only works with right triangles, where you have a hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. The law of cosines, and then next time the law of sines, works in any triangle, so acute, obtuse, or right. Let's do an example. Okay, so here's my triangle. I've got it labeled as triangle ABC. This is angle C, and we're going to go from here. We want to find AB, the side length. If you're thinking about how does everything tie together, in the previous lesson in 15F, when you did area of a triangle, you could find the area of this triangle because you have 2 sides and the included angle. Okay? But if you didn't, you might need to find some more information before you find the area. But I've got 2 sides and the included angle, so I could find the area. They want us to find this side over here. Well, that side over here, AB, is directly opposite of C. So I'm trying to find side C. Across from A is A, and across from B is B. So the angle I know is C. So when I look up at my choices for formulas, in both cases, the angle is A. So we need to use just a different version of that same formula. What do I mean by that? Well, if I put a C here, it would have to have a C here. These match. Right? Little a, big A. If I want to do, if I have C as 78, this is C, this has to be C. So the order of this formula that I'll use is C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Remember, the other two sides, minus 2 AB, those are the same as those, cosine of angle C. I'm trying to find a side length, so I'm using this formula. So it might be a good note to make. This one you use to find a side length. This one you use to find an angle measure. Okay. This one is for a side length, this one is for an angle measure, and it's just the rearranged version. So I'm going to plug in everything I know. C is what I'm trying to find. Side A is 20.1 kilometers squared, plus side B is 14.1 squared, minus 2 times, these are A and B right there, so I just use those again, 20.1 times 14.1 times cosine, and angle C is 78. Everything over here is a number, even cosine 78, that's just a ratio. So all of this is a number, so I can type it directly into the calculator. So we're going to go parentheses, 20.1 squared plus 14.1 squared minus 2 times 20.1 times 14.1 times cosine of 78. And it gives us this number here. So slide my calculator off to the side. C squared is equal to 484.97. Remember, we don't round to 3 sig figs until we get to the end. We want to make sure we're being more accurate, or as accurate as we can. Now that I have C squared equals this number, to solve for C, we square root both sides. And I can leave this number in my calculator to do that. So I'm going to second square root, second minus, which puts the last answer under there, and it gives me 22.02. So C is equal to 22.0 kilometers. And that's what we were trying to find. That's how you can use this formula if you're looking for a side length. The key pieces of information are making sure that this side and this side, or this side and this angle, have the same letter. And then your other two sides go in here. We plugged all of this directly into the calculator. It spit out this number. And then to get rid of a squared, you square root both sides of the equation. So it's 22 kilometers. Okay, let's do an example of where you're finding an angle. This is an example of side, 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 because I have a triangle and I have I have all three sides of this triangle, and I want to find angle B. So the last one was side, angle, side. If you remember from geometry, angle in between, side, angle, side, SAS. This one I have three sides, side, 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 and I want to use this to find angle B. So this is the angle I'm trying to find. I need to get my triangle labeled based on the letters that they gave me. So if this is angle A, this is side A, angle B, side B, once again across from it, angle C, side C is across from it. Very important that it gets labeled like that, otherwise you will not come up with the correct answer. Must label it like that, opposite. Opposite sides have the same letter as the opposite angle. Since I'm finding an angle, I'm going to use the second formula, this one. But it's not angle A that I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find angle B. So if I want to put a B here, then where I see A over here, I also have to put a B. This has to match with that. So if I want to find B, this here has to also be a B, and these are the other sides. So I'm going to change this to cosine B, because that's what I want to find, equals The B, this, and this are the letters that are not this letter. So if this is B, this is going to be A squared plus C squared minus, that's the one that matches, over 2AC. Super important that this and this are the ones that match, the angle and then the negative one over here. Let's plug in everything that we know. So we don't know angle B, but we do know all three sides. So side A is 222 squared. Side C is 150 squared minus B, which is 215 squared, over 2 times A times C. So that's all the information from the triangle plugged into this formula. I would highly recommend using a graphing calculator for this and the fancy fraction. If you don't, then you need to find the top number, enter, find the bottom number, enter, and then divide them. Don't try to do this all in one line unless you have a graphing calculator where you can do alpha, y equals, and make a fancy fraction. So, parentheses 222 squared plus 150 squared minus 215 squared over 2 times 222 times 150. We get a decimal value. So cosine of B is equal to 0.3837, I guess. We'll round there. Now, this is like 2 times ago when we were doing 15 A, B, C, D, E. If you have a trig ratio, cosine of B is equal to this decimal. Then to get the angle, you have to do the inverse. So we have to do cosine, this is what we'll do in our calculator, cosine inverse, which is second cosine, of the decimal. So in order to go from my cosine ratio to the angle measure, we have to use second cosine. Instead of rounding to this point, we'll go second answer. It'll take that decimal and put it there. And it should give me some type of measure that seems reasonable for an angle. So 67.4 degrees seems reasonable to be an angle measure in a triangle. So the measure of angle B is 67.4 degrees. Okay, all the questions from 15G are going through the cosine rule or the law of cosines. They kind of group them, I guess you should say. So the next video I'll go over the law of sines, and that will kind of wrap up these 3 different rules that are all in your booklet. Okay, all working with any type of triangle. So thank you for watching. If you're on 15G and you're trying to find a side length, try to follow what I did here. If you're trying to find an angle measure, try to follow what I did here. We'll put all of these together in like the final unit of this chapter, the final lesson of this chapter. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good day.